Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gallo de Boxeo, another outlook on all things boxing from yours truly. So, as promised, my views on the Oleksandr Usyk Tyson Fury rematch that just occurred a few hours ago. Long story short, Usyk won. He did enough to win the majority of that fight, and despite a new game plan and moments of success from Tyson Fury, I just couldn't see otherwise but Usyk winning this fight. I've heard through some of the media that I've been reading that people feel that Fury was robbed. I'm not getting that personally. I did not see where he got robbed. I think if I had to quickly sum up this fight, the first few rounds were back and forth. I think you had Fury winning a round, Usyk winning a round, and it was looking interesting because one of the big things was that Fury was coming forward initially, coming forward as opposed to the first fight where he was more on the back foot. And so that was the intrigue to see, like, would Fury come forward, and if so, would he maintain that over the course of 12 rounds? And at first, you saw him hitting Usyk with punches and hitting him with the unorthodox style that he uses. But if you look closely, you would see that in the early rounds that Usyk was going to the body. And for those of you that are aware of boxing, one reason why boxers go to the body is many reasons, but one big one is to try to tire out your opponent over the long haul. Because taking shots to the ribs, the sternum, the liver, the kidneys can be very taxing on a fighter, especially as the accumulation grows. And so you could see that that was his approach to see if he could tire Fury in the later rounds. And in my opinion, that did prove to be effective because that first half was back and forth, but then the second half, you once again saw why Usyk is so lauded for his many abilities, and one of them being his conditioning. One guy looked a lot fresher than the other. The other thing to be aware about was Usyk did get hit, and it was evidently shown with the mouse under his eye that he was getting hit clean. He did take some good straight punches. Walked into one uppercut in the early part of the fight. I'm not sure it was the third or fourth round. It was a pretty decent uppercut he walked into. But one thing that Usyk did that was very effective was when he took a shot. He had the resilience to take the shot, but then he'd come back on the offensive. He'd apply pressure and throw punches. So if Fury had clipped him with one shot, he would try to throw throw 4 to 6 punches, often catching Fury with a few of those punches. And that goes a long way in many ways. One is to judges, that goes a long way because it's showing assertiveness, dominance, which is, as with most sports and especially boxing, something that's looked at when it comes to judging criteria. And then the second thing is it's also showing your opponent that this is what's coming at you if you clip me. So you better knock me out because if you don't, this is what's going to come at you. And as the time went on, you could see, as I said before in the pre-fight analysis of this fight, there's going to be a lot of respect in this fight because both guys saw that they were able to hurt each other in the first fight, and you could see that too as the fight went on. You could see that the punches that, especially as Usyk started gaining momentum, that Fury took more time to himself and whatnot, and potentially cost himself some rounds. And again, you saw, like I was saying in the pre-fight analysis, Usyk's ability to keep Fury from leaning on him, because you were seeing that as I was predicting this punching and grabbing style that he had used with Deontay Wilder and Francis Ngannou, and Usyk did a very good job of holding him off, using his angles, using his arms to keep Fury from putting the full leverage of weight on him, and so that proved to be very effective. And again, it's those aspects of adaptation and resiliency that determines the quality of a performance, whether it's in sport or in life in general, how one deals with those factors, how one deals with the changes in the circumstances, and having the mental and physical fortitude to push forward even after they face adversity. And you saw that with Usyk's performance. Was it more spirited? I feel yes. It felt like it was kind of like the second Joshua fight, where it was, you could argue, it was more competitive than the first fight from Fury. But ultimately, as a whole, I can't see anything but Usyk winning this fight clearly. So, where does both fighters, or where do both fighters go from here? Is the next question. I think both of them are at the tail end of their careers, if not the end of their careers. This match was basically to determine who was number one in the division, and it's once again established Usyk as number one, like he was going into this fight. And where does Usyk go from here? I personally think, aside from financial obligations, it's potentially downhill from here for him, because he's completed boxing. That's the most frank way of saying it. And at this point, any fight that is to be made would probably have to have a financial incentive for it to make sense. I know there's always going to be somebody saying, "Oh, he needs to fight Martin Bakoli, or the winner of Zheli Zhang and Ajit Kabayel, or something." But that's the thing, right? That's the thing about combat sports, is the question is, when do you leave? Because there's always going to be someone you have to fight. Like, almost never do you fully clean out a division and then can retire without somebody critiquing you. There's always a fighter. There's always a question of what if, as long as you don't fight somebody. And so I don't see, like, would those fights be interesting, like Usyk versus Bakoli, or Usyk versus the winner of John Kabayel? I'm sure they would be for the hardcore fan. But does it make sense for Usyk at this point in his career? I'm not too sure about that. And so again, like, it'd be either for one of two reasons he moves forward with the fight. It would be the challenge of, I guess, fighting somebody and defending his belt, or I should say, most likely, and a financial compensation for fighting at this point, being at the top of the mountain, nowhere really else to go. As for Fury, I also think it is near the end of his career, if not the end. I think the uh, the compensation he's receiving for this fight, and the prospect of a trilogy had he won, was motivating him to continue fighting. And like Usyk, I feel that Fury mentally is approaching the end of his career. Like, are there fights for him? Oh, of course, of course. I mean, some of the big ones I can think of off the top of my head would be domestic fights in the United Kingdom against either Anthony Joshua or Daniel Dubois in Wembley, or some big football stadium over there. But outside of that, there's, again, I don't see a reason why he would fight some of the other upcoming guys like Kabayel, Zhang, Bakoli, because Fury's always been about the money, and if the money isn't there, I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him fight again. But you never say never. One saying that I've heard in my experience of boxing is that in many cases things are not written in stone but in wet sand. The amount of times I've heard guys saying they were going to retire, coaches saying they were going to stop coaching, I've lost count. So this is my prediction, but until things happen, right? At the end of the day, it's about actions. We can only speculate. But anyways, there is my post-fight analysis for Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury 2. Again, I'm open to any feedback, whether it's about the quality of this video, the content of this video. Yeah, feel free to take a look at this and my other videos, and hope to continue sharing my knowledge and my affinity for boxing with all you lovely viewers. Take care.